It's time for another Dice Tower review with Z Garcia.
Hey everybody! One of my favorite filler card games from, I want to say, a couple of years ago was Beasty Bar. Beasty Bar was excellent. It had interesting tactics, it had gorgeous artwork, it had a funny theme if you got into it. And so today I'm going to be taking a look at Beasty Bar, New Beasts in Town. This is a follow-up to that original game. It plays by itself, but it can be mixed with the original one. I'll tell you more about that when I come back from the overview. So without further ado, let's just get to that overview then. I'm going to show you how this game works. I'll show you the different animals in it, and then I'll tell you if I think it holds up in comparison to the original. The objective of the game is to get more of your own animals than anyone else into Beasty Bar. And that's the basic way of playing. So if you get, 5 animals in, no one gets that many, then you win. The alternate way of scoring is you assign value to each of the characters, and then you see how many points worth of characters you got into the bar. The general flow of the game is what I'm going to show you now, and then I'll show you a little more in-depth each of the characters, and really that's the meat of the game. So that's what makes this set different from the original set, and it's what gives the game its flow and its back and forth. But let me show you basically how it works. Everybody's going to shuffle up their deck of cards, play it face set down in front of them, and give themselves a hand of 4 cards. Then on your turn, you are going to play a card and then draw a card, okay? So if I play a card, I'm going to play it out here, closest to the entrance for the bar. Then I draw a replacement. That is my turn. When you play something, you take into account its power. It'll do whatever it does. And then you take into account from the front of the line to the back of the line any character that has their recurring power symbol, that little swirl there. And so once this player has gone, next player from their 4 cards will play one, do whatever it does, draw a replacement, and so on around the table. If at any point after someone has played, there are 5 characters out there, so let's say this looks like this, alright, and this is the lineup, then the first 2 will get into the bar, so this one and this one here both get in, we'll put them in. The last one is completely kicked out, and then the 2 that are left simply move up to the front of the line, and we continue with whoever the next player would be. That's it. We continue playing until every player has played every single one of their cards, and then we score up the game. Let me give you a closer look at what each of the animals does, and that'll be the overview of the game. Alright, let's take a look at the characters here. I'm going to show you all of them from the strongest number to the weakest. They're all there from 12 to 1. So here we go. The rhino, when you play them, they replace the strongest animal in the line. And when I say replace, I mean, yes, that older animal, the one that was previously there, is completely gone. Number 11, the bear sends 2 species, the 2 species with the lowest card values, as long as they're lower than the bear itself, to the end of the line. And so they're not completely kicked out, they're just pushed to the back. The tiger has a recurring character. Again, that symbol lets you know that it's a recurring character, power. And the animal here replaces the animal after the next, meaning leaping over one and attacking the one after that as long as it can do so based on its strength. So as long as it's less than a 10, then it can do that, okay? So it skips one and takes the one after that out. The number 9 is the cheetah. It replaces the animal with the lowest value, again, as long as it's lower than itself, and it gets that one out of there. As you can see, lots of powers here that are very confrontational, lots of sending other characters to the discard straight away, things like that. The number 8, the llama, sends the animal right in front of itself to the end of the line as long as it can, again, and it continues to do that every time. Every time someone plays, boom, it checks again for that. The number 7 here, the porcupine, kicks out any animals that try to kick it out of the line. So it's a defensive power that is always on, is the idea. And so any animals that attempts to take this one completely out of the lineup is itself out of the lineup, and I think you can guess why, because, well, that's a prickly guy. Ostrich over here, the number 6, it passes any animals with either all even or all odd values you pick when you play it. So you play it, in front of it is a 2, a 4, a 7. You say evens, you skip the 2 and the 4, and you do not skip the 7. That's basically what that does. The number 5 here being the penguin. It imitates an animal from your hand. You show your hand, the penguin is that animal until every power has resolved, meaning the power of whatever you copied, followed by all the recurring powers, and then it reverts back to just being a 5. The number 4 here is the dog. It rearranges all the animals according to their values. The animals that have the lowest value go closest to the entrance, and then back from there. The number 3 is the peacock. It positions itself in front of the strongest animal because, well, it dazzles them. The number 2 is the vulture. This is the one that's the trickiest one to explain, I would say, and it's certainly the most complex one from the set. Basically what it does is it brings back into play the topmost discarded animal. The last one that was kicked out. It brings that card back into play. It does the action for that. And then it itself is put back in the discard pile. And if you ever play a vulture and there's another vulture, like a vulture and a vulture, then they both immediately get into the bar. If you're able to combine one with another one, they both get in automatically. And then lastly here is the bat, which is just the number 1, but it replaces any one animal directly, if it's ever directly next to the entrance. However, it is dead. It does not like the light shining on it, so you need to sneak it in there, never being at the very front of the line. But again, it can kick anything else out, so it's very powerful. And so that's basically it. And we also have over here, as I was telling you, a point breakdown of how many points each animal is worth, assuming you don't want to score with just every animal being worth 1 point, but instead you want to go based on this. You can choose to do that as well. So every one of these is worth 2, every one of these worth 3, and these are worth 4, simply because they are harder to get into the bar itself. And that's pretty much it. You keep going until you play every card, see who gets the most points or gets the most animals in, and that is your winner. So, as I said at the beginning, I'm a huge fan of the original set, Beasty Bar. This one, I think, the gameplay, first of all, is almost identical, really. It's basically the same game with new powers, which is fine. And it's pretty much what I expected it to be anyway. I wanted more variety in the set. Now, I will say, to find that variety, they've kind of had to kick up the complexity just a little bit. And I enjoy it. I think it's interesting, but I don't think it will dethrone the original set for me, because that one is simply easier to teach to folks, There are 12 characters you have to explain and have to get everybody to learn before you even play the first card. And that might not sound very demanding, but for a light card game that I could play with mom and dad, that sometimes is too much. Having to internalize and understand 12 cards and how they operate. And yeah, they have the symbols there, but sometimes that's not enough. And these are harder than the original set. So if you are looking for the simpler of the two, right there is your answer. Get the original one instead. Now, if you will like the original one, as much as I do, I love it. And if you are looking for more content, then you cannot go wrong with this. And I haven't even gotten to the best part yet, which is definitely more for gamers, maybe, for people who are cool with the complexity that this is going to add. But there's a really neat way of combining the two sets. And the way you do that is players are going to pick their own breakdown of characters. And so I am going to have a 1 character. So I'll have the one from this set or the one from the original set. I'll have a 2 character, etc., all the way up to a 12 character. And my combination might be different from everybody else's. We'll shuffle up our own decks, we'll play that, and then we'll write down those scores, and we will play with all the cards we did not choose, right? So I'm going to play now through the game again with the other group of cards. So with the alternates of everything I just used. And that's very cool, because it makes for a lot of powers happening, lots going on, lots of action, and then you get to write down the scores for both games and really see who came out ahead, So I like that system a lot. I thought that was a clever way of saying we're not just giving you a follow-up, but there's a neat way here to combine these two things. And so I was very happy to see that they did that. The new artwork is spectacular, just like the old artwork, so thumbs up there. And again, I really enjoyed. My only criticism is if you were hoping for a game that was as simple as the first one. You're not quite going to get it here, but that's a minor quibble, really. I am a big fan of Beasty Bar, and New Beasts in Town does not disappoint. Check this one out, folks, if you enjoyed the first one at all. And if you haven't played that one, then maybe get that one first. But I have a sneaking suspicion you might then be interested in acquiring this one as well. That is, thumbs up from me for New Beasts in Town.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.